Good evening. My name is Noelani Pearl-Hunt, and I'm the interim CEO of Hand in Hand Parenting. I'm so excited to get to know you today. Parenting is the most important and rewarding role I have, and I bet it is for all of you. What if it was just a little bit easier? Hand in Hand Parent Club gives advice, support, and caring for the toughest and most important role you have. Today, we're giving you a preview of the personal support that you will receive with a live Q&A with Megha, an instructor with Hand in Hand Parenting. The Hand in Hand Parent Club is a membership that gives you the absolute best information we have to offer, delivered to your inbox every week, with the added support of weekly coaching, Facebook Q&As, and conference calls, and a supportive parenting community. Free access to our Setting Limits and Building Cooperation course, and a Q&A session with Patty Wiffler, founder of Hand in Hand. And all of that is accessible by your phone. Megha was born and raised in Mumbai, India. After working for 10 years, she took a sabbatical to care for her children with special needs. The emotional journey of supporting her family brought her to Hand in Hand Parenting. Megha is trained as a Hand in Hand Parenting instructor and social worker in children's rights. She loves helping people and exploring their roles as parents and helping spouses figure out a better balance as partners to their children. I'm so excited to welcome Megha today to our show. Hello, Megha. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm really excited about this. So Megha is in India, so it's very early in the morning. So we really thank her for being here with us. I'm hoping that we're going to have amount of people who are here asking questions. So all the viewers who are watching right now, please make sure that any questions that you might have, you can ask down low in the Facebook chat. We had a plethora of questions come in through Patty's Facebook Q&A. So we're going to start with a couple of those. But first, Megha, can you let me know how you came about finding Hand in Hand and what kind of brought you to searching for us?
So it's a really weird story, and it's a story that changed my life, but I have no idea how it started. Some article of Hand in Hand popped up on my Facebook feed sometime. I can't recollect when, but I do remember trying Special Time for the first time. And this was a period when I had just finished with my younger daughter who's deaf and hard of hearing. So she had just been mainstreamed, had spent like these 2-3 years of intense work with her. And she was mainstreamed into a typical school. And my older daughter was acting up. And after Hand in Hand, I understand why, because of the emotional economy of the family. But nothing I did seemed to get through her. And I tried Special Time, and it was an aha moment in our family. One thing led to another, and I felt I needed to bring these tools into my country, into my life, into my family. And we're transformed.
That's amazing. Megha, why don't you take a couple minutes and tell us about the work that you do in Mumbai with mothers and Hand in Hand?
Yes, of course. So Mumbai, it's a bustling metropolitan, but it has two very distinct populations. It has one population that lives in high-rises and has beautiful houses. Their children go to international schools. They have chauffeurs. They have maids. They have what many might call the good life. And then right alongside those high-rises, adjoining to those high-rises, you have the slums, where they don't have brick walls. They have plastic or tin roofs. And they're the ones who are working in these high-rise houses. And there's this economic and social inequality that's in front of you. You step out of your house and it's in front of you. It's inside your house. It's everywhere around you. So my dream is to have listening partnerships between the slums and the high-rises. Because as I've started working in the slums more and more, and I'm working in the high-rises, the problems are the same. The children don't listen. The devices come in the way. How do you set limits? How do you get them to study? How do you keep them out of bad behavior? How do you keep them how do you react when they start using profanity? So it's interesting how similar it is, and yet it is so different. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm spreading hand in hand into the slums and in the high rises.
That's amazing work. Well, thank you for being a part of the Hand in Hand family. We are really, really, really happy to have you here. Well, why don't we start with the first question? So the first question is, my 5-year-old knows how to change his clothes, but he won't. When I ask, he replies that he wants me to change his clothes or that he doesn't know how. Why is he not cooperating?
Yes, that's such a fantastic question. And I'd like to answer you that question by sharing with you something I learned about reading. So there are educationists that say you should read to your child till age 12. And the first time I heard it, I said, what? But once my child knows how to read, why does she need me to read her bedtime stories? And it's because they want that time of connection with you. So when children become independent with something they know how to do, oftentimes they pretend they don't know how to do it, or they resist doing it, or they start doing it really badly because they want you around. They are not ready to be independent. So when he knows how to change his clothes and he's asking you to do it for him, it's him inviting you in to play. So there are two things you could use, two of our tools. One is special time, where you feed him with connections. So special time is one-on-one time between mom and child, where or parent and child, or caregiver and child, where you set a timer and then you put the timer aside. You do not look at the timer. You are not going tick tock, the time is clicking. But the idea of the timer is to let your child know that this is a defined time where they are in control and you do whatever they ask you to do. One child asked his mom to lean out of the window and count the leaves of the tree while he went and did his own thing. And he was testing mom to see, will she really do what I asked him to do, what I asked her to do? And that what this does is helps build trust, helps build connection, and maybe your child won't need to use something he already knows to get that time from you. Another tool we like to use in situations like this is play listening, which is basically laughter. You do things together, the two of you. So maybe it's about dressing up and you deliberately make him wear his shorts instead of his shirts on top. Or you make him wear his shirt and say, okay, you're ready to go out now without putting his pants on. And you could do that with yourself as well. Miss wear what you would typically wear, or underwear what you would wear, and bring laughter into the house.
That's great. You know, we have some questions that are coming in on the Facebook chat. And I just want to remind people, not only can you ask questions here, but this Facebook Live is a part of the preview of what you would get inside the Parent Club. So $15 a month for our Parent Club, you get into a private Facebook group where it's comforting and caring and supportive. Parents are there to help you. You can ask these questions either in the group or on the Facebook Live with instructors like Megha. So I'm going to ask one of the questions that we got. It is, when my daughter gets home from kindergarten, she's grumpy and uncooperative and won't put her things away or do what I ask. Can you help me?
Yes, of course. So when children are away at kindergarten, and especially at a young age like that, typically kindergarten is for children under 6. Yes, about under 6. They're not necessarily as ready to be away from home as as schools make us believe, or our lives make us believe. So when they go to kindergarten, it takes a lot out of them emotionally and physically, and they come out really drained. So we refer to it as an empty cup. So their cup of connection, their cup of cooperation has been finished when they're at kindergarten. And because of the safety they have, being you the parent, they come with that empty cup to you and they start demanding, fill me up, fill me up. And they're demanding fill me up by basically being uncooperative and grumpy. So the way we like to respond to that is offering them connection. Again, we'd use special time to offer connection. We'd use play listening to offer connection, the two tools I just spoke about. But what we would also do is allow them to be able to be grumpy. So we wouldn't call them on it that, why are you being grumpy? You had such a good time in kindergarten, and insist that they're not allowed to be grumpy. We would say, oh, I'm so sorry it's hard on you. Oh no, has Mr. Grumpy been visiting you today? Let's have some fun with Mr. Grumpy. You're acknowledging your child's feeling and you're immediately taking them into play listening, which is what they need for connection, but not distracting them away from the feeling that they're feeling. So we're filling that cup up, we're recognizing that cup, we're acknowledging that cup, and then we're filling it up with lots of love and laughter in the house.
That's really great. I know that a lot of times that kids act out because they are that connection has been broken, and they really are just looking for that focused attention from you. So special time and that play listening are definitely ways that we can connect with our children. Here's another question, and I think you might have a really great answer for this one too. My toddler refuses to brush her teeth or let anyone else brush them. She will scream, bite, and do anything to get away. What do I do?
Yeah. My 10-year-old refuses to brush her teeth, so I know where that is coming from. So when children are being uncooperative, that's telling us that they either need limits. So one thing is, we don't say it's okay to not brush your teeth, because of course you need to brush your teeth. So we're always setting limits, but we're setting limits using play. So while it's important to brush your teeth and you have to brush your teeth, I'm going to make you brush your teeth using play. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to hold your hand and brush your teeth for you or be aggressive, but I'm going to bring in characters that can bring laughter into the activity of brushing the teeth. Or I can do fun things before teeth is, Mr. Brush, are you not in the mood to come into my mouth today? If you are going to come into my mouth today, I need you to be extremely gentle. What? You're not in the mood to be gentle? You're going to be rough with me? Can you be rough with my cavities instead? And maybe toothpaste doesn't want to get on brush, and I spill toothpaste all around my basin. I spill toothpaste. It just doesn't stay on my brush. I put it on my brush and it falls off. I put it on my brush, it falls off. So you make a game out of brushing your teeth, and that's the best way to get them to do it. I'd love to hear games that you could play while brushing teeth with your children. This seems to work with my 10-year-old also.
Good. Maybe it would work with my 22-year-old too. So we'll see. I'll have to try it next time she's visiting. So I have another one. It is about dinner time, and it says, I can't get my son to eat at the table with us. I don't want dinner to be a big fight. What can I do?
Yeah. I had this dream when I had my children that this is what dinners would look like. We'd sit around the table and everyone would be talking about their day, and there'd be so much laughter, and reality, so not like that. But it is possible to get glimpses of it, and it is possible to get it on certain days for sure. So one thing we need to recognize about ourselves, and typically dinner time is such a trigger for parents. I know it was a trigger for me. During dinner time, I was tired because it was the end of the day. I needed them to get on with dinner and go to bed because I needed to get on with the night part of my day. catch up on my work, catch up on my reading, catch up on some time with my husband. And I needed to make sure they ate everything. And after repeated, I don't like what's for dinner, I don't like what's for dinner, I also felt on edge and judged for what I was putting up on the table. So the first thing that I needed to do, and we all need to do, is work on our own feelings around dinner time. What can I do to be less triggered during dinner? How can I make sure my cup is full during dinner? Because if I'm on edge, if I'm tired, if I need to get my stuff done, I'm in no mood to be playful with my children. And I'm honestly thinking that's being really entitled, that you have a hot meal on the table served to you and you don't want to eat it and you want to walk away. So working on our own feelings is a very important part of Hand in Hand. And we do that with a tool called Listening Partnership. And I know the Parent Club is a great place to get that support and community going, to get like-minded people to exchange time with each other. In a listening partnership, it's a safe time. It's almost like special time for me, where I get on a call, I meet someone, or I get on a call with somebody who will not judge me, who will give me unconditional acceptance, and I get to release, I get to push, I get to shake, I get to cuss if I have to, but I get to release everything that's going on with me that's making things just so darn hard right now. As I do that, as I let these difficult feelings come out, I'm able to fill my own cup up. If I get onto that dinner table with a full cup, I can play games with my children on that dinner table. I can set that limit that, you know what, I need you to sit on the table right now. But I can do that using a lot of fun. So one game that I learned on Hand in Hand was, and this works really well with young kids, I'm stuck to this chair right now. Oh, my hands are moving. Oh my God, this is such a sticky chair. And sometimes your child will be like, my chair is not sticky. Oh, really? How come? And maybe I'll get my hand stuck to their chair or get my foot stuck to their chair. And they'll want to come and experiment. And often they'll want to play that game and they might get stuck to that chair as well. And to not make it about the food, sometimes we could. We can again animate the food and we can say, broccoli's feeling so sad right now. I don't want to eat you, broccoli. Look at you, you're all so green and wiggly, and I don't know if broccoli is wiggly, but you get what I mean.
I love it. That's so fantastic. I'm going to have to start doing that at home now too. Question from a viewer. It says, my husband travels a lot for work and I'm on my own with the kids. How am I supposed to go to the grocery store with two of them whining or trying to go in different directions?
Yeah, that's it's hard being a single parent so many times. Could you though repeat the second part of your question? My husband.
Yeah, so it says, my husband travels a lot. How am I supposed to go to the grocery store with the two of them whining or trying to go in different directions?
So when children are used to having two parents around, and one parent is traveling a lot, they are missing that parent, even though it's the parent who's at home, who's possibly being the primary parent and around the most, and there to get all the, that is the parent who's responsible for all the day-to-day activities. The children are possibly missing their father who's traveling a lot. So one thing to do is to help connection between the children and father, if possible, if it's possible for them to do special time over FaceTime, over Skype, over any video call possible, to help them with connection. But another thing very important to do is stay listening. The reason, again, they're being uncooperative, they don't want you to go to the grocery store, is because they're upset and they're missing daddy. or they're missing connection. So have a pillow fight just before you have to go to the grocery store. Get into a huge pillow fight. Let the pillows be all over the place when you are out in. Let them be all over the place, and come back and clean up the pillows. Make a game out of cleaning up the pillows when you come back. Yes, Christine is recommending that get them involved in the shopping, in the activity of shopping. That's so much fun to do. But it's always good to release a little bit of play before you take them to the supermarket, because you don't want them pulling things out and racing the supermarket cart. But yes, giving them a responsible thing to do, maybe printing out a list and getting them to pick it. But we like to use play listening a lot, and play listening at Hand in Hand very, very, very specifically looks at it as laughter. So if I'm going to do play listening at the supermarket store, I'm going to do it using laughter at the store. Maybe we'll pretend to be different people. Maybe I'll pretend to be the baby and my children have to be the responsible one. Maybe I don't want to get into the car. I will try to get into the car seat and say, okay, drive me fast. Why aren't we moving? And your children are going to be laughing and laughing. Now, what is mom doing? Why is she trying to fit into my car seat? It's a great way to get them to sit into the car seat. Just say, that's mine now.
You would be such a fun mom. I'm coming to India
after a lot of listening partnerships.
I know. I'm coming to India and we're going to go shopping and we're just going to go and have fun. I agree with you, though. The listening partnerships are really important when it comes to making sure that we can be connected and be right there with our children. One of the things that the Parent Club does is we connect you with listening partners through our Parent Club. People can post, parents can post inside the Parent Club stating that they need a listening partner, and we're able to match you with somebody and really get you there and get someone to listen to you. Even if it's for 2 or 3 minutes or it's for 30 minutes, we're able to help you find a listening partner. We have a bunch of questions, so I'm going to continue here. So I'm trying to foster more of a sense of cooperation, problem solving, and working as a team within our family instead of using control. How would you handle an 8-year-old that has a sweet tooth and asks for lots of treats? I do limit what I buy, but if we have ice cream, for example, he expects to have it every day after dinner and sometimes twice a day. We have talked to both of our kids about making healthy choices, some of the risk of eating too much sugar, and that one day they will be the ones making those decisions at the grocery store. So she's trying to figure out how to handle an 8-year-old who has a sweet tooth and asks for a lot of sweets.
I've been there. My 6-year-old used to hide behind the fridge and stuff her face with chocolate, come out with chocolate all over her face and say, I didn't eat any. I didn't eat any. I can see the evidence on your face. And I remember when I was struggling with this, and I had spoken to Patty about it. And we do a lot of stay listening around it. So yes, first you have to set that limit, because of course it's not good for your child to have so much sugar. And in fact, there's one parent I am working with who has a diabetic child, and she just couldn't have her child to have any sugar. And the first thing we do is set limits, but we use play again to set limits. We actually do not get into the reasons why sugar is bad for you when they're in that moment of emotional trigger. When they're feeling upset, when they're demanding sugar, that is not a time when I'm going to use my energy to tell them why they can't have sugar and how they are allowed to have sugar maybe at another time, or they've had a lot of sugar and you're not being a mean mommy, and there's a very logical reason why you can't give your child sugar. We're saying at Hand in Hand that don't waste your energy doing that, because when your child is feeling upset and when they're demanding something they know they can't have, their limbic system is not working. Their off-track behavior is telling you that their mind is not connected. anything you say, all this logic that you're pouring in, all these very good reasons that you're pouring in, is not going through. It's like there's a block. So uh, there's a block in their thinking, and all this information is just going whoosh right over that, whoosh right over that. So, what can I do to release that block in the thinking? One is stay listening. I can let them feel bad about not having sugar. So we don't hide the treat. We don't say, okay, we don't distract them by saying there's no candy in the house, there's no ice cream in the house. You can have that ice cream cup right there, but you hold it out of reach. So you block access to that ice cream cup of your child, and you say, I know you really want to have that ice cream, but I can't let you have it. I know it's yummy and it's delicious and it's so cool, and I know this is your favorite flavor, but I'm sorry, I just can't let you have it right now. And as I keep saying that, they're going to be upset. They might try to push me away. They might try to, they'll shout, and they'll try to reach out for that ice cream. And at each stage, I'm going to be like, I know you want to. What they're doing is they're releasing their upset at not being able to have that ice cream at that point, which is a fair enough upset to release. When I remember when, I mean, it happens so many times. That's why we have the listening partnership. When I have to do something, but I just don't want to do that thing, I'm upset. That doesn't mean I'm not going to do what I need to do. That doesn't mean I'm not going to cook dinner. But can I have 5 minutes to be really upset and tired and not wanting to cook dinner and wishing I could just call for pizza again tonight? And as we give our children that space to release by stay listening to them, by acknowledging whatever they're feeling and not letting them feel it, but yet holding our limit, they're able to get those bad feelings out of the way. As they're able to get that out of their way, they're able to be more cooperative into your limit. As you see them release, bring play into your limit. Talk about ice cream, saying, I'm going to wait for you. I'm going to wait for you for when you can have me. Why don't you put me in the freezer? Ooh, it's going to be cold, but I'm going to be that much cooler for you. You could use play again, but always allow space for stay listening.
Fantastic. I have another question from a viewer. It says, I cannot stand to be late. My preschooler does not share my feelings, and I need to find some way to get her moving when it's time to get something done. What can I do without making us both miserable?
Yeah, getting out of that door. The only trigger possibly bigger or equal to dinner time, especially if you have a boss that needs you on time, right? Again, working on our own feelings. It's overwhelming getting out of that door, getting everything done. No matter what time of the day I need to get out of the door, when I have to get children out of the door, especially toddlers who are being uncooperative, it's just so hard, and it always takes longer than we anticipate. So one thing to do is give yourself more time. So if you think it's going to take you half an hour, give yourself an hour. That does mean that maybe you have to pick and choose. Certain things don't get done. It also might mean that you wake up a little early, or you organize your day in a way where basically the idea is you're not necessarily looking at the clock that you would be if you gave yourself 15 minutes to get out of that door. When you give yourself that 1 hour, you use that time to do some special time. So often children don't want to get out of that door because the moment they leave the connection from home, their cup isn't full enough to handle it. So if I make sure that cup is really full at home, they might be more ready to get out of that door. As I offer, so you could even offer your child 5 minutes of special time. There are times when I've offered my children 2 minutes of special time, and that's been enough to get them to cooperate with me. But what we also need to be prepared for is when special time gets over and that bell goes off, they might bring in some big feelings into the equation at that point. Because in special time, what you've done is created so much safety, so much security. If something is bothering your child, they might bring it up right then. So give yourself another 10-15 minutes after whatever you've budgeted for special time to have any possible stay listening coming in. And lastly, use play. Use lots of play. So one time I needed to get out of the door and I started walking into the bathroom and say, "Come on, we need to go." Why is there a toilet in the lift? Another time, instead of picking up my purse, I picked up a pot. I picked up a pan and I said, "Let's go." And my kids are just laughing at me. They're like, "What are you doing, Mom?" And in that laughter, they're happy to get out of the house. They're looking forward to get out of the house because they can't imagine what fun is stored in them in the car. No pressure.
So I have a question for you. Maybe if you could give a little bit of information about stay listening. It's something that I find one of the hardest things for me to do is stay listening. Especially when I'm exhausted or I'm tired. So maybe you can say a little bit about what stay listening is for the viewers, and then maybe go into some techniques that you might use, especially when you're at the end of your day and you're very, very tired.
So one thing to recognize about stay listening, it's very hard, just as you pointed out. It's very hard on the parents because often it brings up our own past hurts, our own triggers, our own big feelings. On the dining table, when my children need stay listening, it's hard for me because I wasn't listened to when I was younger. I was told, "You have to eat this," and it was a very harsh limit that was set around me. And I remember before Hand in Hand, I did so much of that with my children as well, where I said I'd be harsh that I'd physically make sure they were sitting. In fact, there was this one time when I had a high chair and it was purposefully created in such a way that my children couldn't get off it on their own. And they'd be crying and crying, and I wouldn't let them get off it because that was the limit. You needed to finish what was on that table before I let you get off that high chair. And as I took that into my listening partnership, I realized how I felt when the same thing was done to me, when I didn't want to eat some of the vegetables that were put on my table, where I was full. I had binged on chips, but I had not told my parents I had binged on chips, and I had to still eat what I was given for dinner, and I couldn't tell them that I'm too full to eat it, and I felt like throwing up with every bite that I was putting into my mouth, but I still had to eat it because I was so scared. So working on my own feelings, working on our own feelings, recognizing that when our children are crying or throwing a tantrum or being uncooperative, how it felt for us when we were in that same position growing up can really help make it easier for us to be present when our children need us. Another thing that we do in stay listening, that helps you stay listen with your child, is taking the pressure off it. So many times parents would say, "But if I tell my child it's okay to cry, they're always going to cry." It's not true. Children don't want to cry. They're crying because they just have overwhelming feelings right now, and that cup is empty. And as I make it possible for them to release those feelings, as I make it possible for them to have a fuller cup, they don't want to be uncooperative. They don't want to. They would rather be laughing with you than crying with you. So as I start believing in that, and trust me, as you start doing it and you see the results, the faith will come. It becomes easier for me to let my child cry. There's one key difference to understand between stay listening and cry it out, which is I am not letting my child alone, leaving my child alone when they're upset and crying. I am not telling them, "You need to go and sit on that timeout chair when you get yourself together, or you need to go into the room and figure yourself out, and when you're feeling better, I'm here for you." I'm right there with them. I'm holding their hands. So in Stay Listening, we're pouring them with connection. You look them right in the eye. You give them all your attention. You hold their hands. If possible, you hold them close to you so they can feel your heartbeat. So you give them a lot of warmth, tactile feeling, connection, and you just say, I know, honey. I know it's so hard, and I'm right here for you. There was this one time I stay listened with my daughter for almost 2 hours. And it was only because she looked exhausted. She'd had a really difficult week. She had she plays the cello, and at that point, she was also performing at the district level for her gymnastics. So she was practicing her cello and gymnastics for 1 to 2 hours every day after a full day of school. And that day, I just could see she was done. She was exhausted. She was uncooperative throughout the day. And I said, sweetheart, I think you're not going to go for class today. And I spoke to her teacher and I said, I think she needs to stay in today. The next day were both the exams and everything. And I figured there's nothing that she can learn today that she needs to be prepared for tomorrow. Today, I need her to relax and connect so she can perform tomorrow. And she flew off the handle. She was so angry with me. She started pushing at me. She started calling me the mean mother, and how could I not let her go for her class, and she needed to go for the class. And she oscillated between being angry at me and pleading, please, mom, please just let me go, because she was so scared, right? She was so scared for her exam coming up, and she was so overwhelmed with these feelings. And for 2 hours, she kept saying, please let me go, or I hate you, I want to go. And I said, I know, honey, and I'm right here. And I kept holding her. I kept being there with her. I kept pouring her with attention. I said, I know, sweetie, I know you really want to go, but I think today we're going to rest it out. And I'm right here with you. And after 2 hours of Indian summer heat, she said, can we at least put the fan on? And that was my window. That was the time I knew she had shed a lot of her feelings, a lot of her hurt. And we started to play a game. And I loved that sticking game. And I said, you know what? I'm stuck to you and I can't move. And I don't think I can put that fan on. And maybe we can try to do it together. And together we just stumbled our way across to that switch to put the fan on. So, and that brought out a lot of laughter. And as soon as we put it on, she said, okay, I want to play a game with you now. I said, okay, what do you want to play? And she said, Rainbow Split. So apparently, Rainbow Split is a game where you jump and the other person has to split. And then you keep splitting further and further. And we're talking about a gymnast and me. Split. But we put splits of laughter because I tried. I tried splitting. So that's
I love it. I love it. That's so fantastic. So what a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us. I just want to remind everyone that they can ask questions down in the bottom in the Facebook comments, and Megha and I will try to get to them. And these Facebook Lives are a part of the a part of the personal touch that you'll get when you become a part of the parent club of Hand in Hand. So for $15 a month, you can be a part of the parent club where you get these Facebook Lives on a weekly basis, along with the personal Facebook page in a safe space where people can support you, where you can talk about the frustrations that you've had for the day. We'll help you get listening partnerships. And then on top of that, on a monthly basis, you get to see Patty Whiffler in the Hand in Hand Facebook Club and on the Facebook Live. So we're really excited about that. And all for $15 a month. That's huge. I would pay thousands of dollars a month to have Patty just once a month to make me feel just amazing as a parent. So totally worth it. Megha, I have a couple other questions here, so why don't we take some of them? This is a longer one. Our children are somewhat cooperative. When they see that they may be receiving a benefit from being cooperative, They are completely the opposite, however, when we ask for their cooperations and offer nothing in exchange for their help. Cleaning up is a perfect example. It seems that no matter how we express our need for help around the house, the children have zero interest in helping. We really don't like offering rewards for things we feel like the children should be doing as a part of the family. How do we get cooperation without bribery when setting expectations, showing respect, and asking doesn't work?
That's such a good question. Um, because bribery works so well in the short run, right? You know that if you just offer something immediately, it's going to work. The problem with the rewards is it only works in the short run. The bribe needs to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And more importantly, we're not instilling the importance of doing work without getting something in return. I mean, honestly, what am I getting by putting dinner, fancy meals on the table, nutritious meals on the table, day after day, and resistance on it? I'm getting very little. Of course, in the long run, I'm getting nutrition and all of that. But at that point, I'm not getting anything. And children need to know that and understand that. So, how do we get them to cooperate? How do we get them to do things without using bribery? Because it's just not going to work in the long run. So, one thing to do is, of course, to set limits. To set limits about certain. So, one limit that worked in my house was together during after special time. My children were in a cooperative mood, and we came up with essential agreements. And those became the limits that we set for ourselves in the house. And if one of those limits was not taken care of, then we used play to remind that person that something in your list isn't done. And we're going to come and we're going to jump on you till you don't agree to do it. So there was this one time when we had a body fight with my daughter who didn't want to pick up the pick up the table. And I was lying on top of her, and my younger daughter decided to join in on the fun, and my husband decided to join in on the fun. And we're all lying down on top of her saying, we're not going to get out of here till you don't go and pick up the food dishes from the table. And that was really funny for her because she said, if you don't get up, I can't go pick up the dishes from the table. And we said, but we're not going to get up. So you're going to have to figure out how you're going to do it. So bring in a lot of fun, bring in a lot of laughter as a consequence of not doing the work. As you start doing that, you've released the stress around not wanting to do the work. I mean, hello, who wants to do chores around the house? Nobody. But can I make the chores fun? Can I make not doing the chores fun? That does not mean you take care of the chores for the child. Let those plates be on the dining table. If that's what's important for you, let them be on that table. Use fun to fill up your child's cup so that they're ready to go back and pick up those plates. Make the act of doing the chore fun. So many times you're cleaning the house and we put on the music and you start dancing. I know there was a time when, yes, huge task, cleaning up the kids' cupboards, right? They outgrow their clothes. They don't fit into them so regularly. They're soiled, they have tears in them, and they still want to hold on to them. It's like, oh my God, you can't let go of my t-shirt. That's too small for me and I'm never going to fit into it, but I still want to crowd my cupboard with it. And what we started to do was we just took out all these clothes and then we had a game out of it. My children wore these too tight clothes and I tried to fit it. My husband tried to fit into her skirt, which was 2 years old, as the game. And we did a little fashion show at home. We made a game out of cleaning the cupboard. I know it might seem a little, do I always have to play games? But when they're being most uncooperative, the best way to help release stress around it is play games. And what that does is that makes that activity fun. The memory of that game moves on to the other 5 times when they need to do that same task and they can't play games at that time. So the games don't just help then, they become echoes of that time when we had to clean up cupboard. It was so fun. I'm happy to do it again today, now. So using games, setting limits are great ways to get children to build cooperation. And another thing that we could use is, of course, special time. So if I know that this is a tough activity coming up, I'm never using special time as a bribe. Please, please always remember, special time is not a reward for something done. So I can't say, if you clean your clothes, we're going to do special time. But I use special time to create the right tone, to fill up that cup so that they want to cooperate.
That's so fantastic, and it kind of brings me to my next question. So I know for me, my cultural background, I'm Filipino and Caucasian, and my mom was very, very authoritarian, and for me, the hand-in techniques were very different from the way I was raised, and it was really hard for me, even though I was a very hands-on parent, to let go of some of the old patterns of frustration and, setting limits that were just, very ridiculous limits. So it took a lot of work for me, but do you have any suggestions for people who are just coming in, who, there's maybe some cultural differences, there's, age differences in the way that they were raised, and getting through that difficulty and really accepting the hand-in-hand techniques?
Yes, of course. And trust me, I know all about cultural differences because I'm living in India and I've lived in a joint family, an Orthodox family, and I know, and I was actually very skeptical about hand in hand initially because I said, how is this Californian, very American way gonna fit in and work for me and my family? And I, of course, don't want to lose the values that are important to me and my family. And the beauty with our tools is it fits in because you are setting the limits. You are choosing what limits are important for you. So there's one limit that I have set in my family, which is every time we meet elders. So when my children meet my parents or when they meet my grandparents, we fold our hands and we do namaste. And this was it's just a mark of respect that we show our elders when we meet them, and it was important for me that my children do that. And I used hand in hand to make that happen. We played games around doing namaste. We set the limit in a fun manner to do namaste, where I do it as well and then my children do it. And we allow them to be upset about, but I'm really angry with Nanu right now, and I don't want to do namaste. And I'm like, "Why no, sweetie? You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be very angry with Nanu right now, but I need you to do namaste." So that was me choosing to set that limit based on my cultural belief and ethos that you're allowed to be really angry at people and you might not want to hug them and kiss them, and it's okay. But namaste is something that I still need you to do. So hand in hand allows us that flexibility, and the best way to get started is actually to just try. So try with, if you join the parent club, try setting up a listening partnership. Talk about a limit that's really hard for you, and many times. So here's another thing that comes up. Like this one parent who was working with me, she had an older son who was allergic. So she had these limits around him in terms of color. So he wasn't allowed to eat certain fruits. He wasn't allowed to eat, those very red cherries because the doctors would say sometimes those are adulterated with color. He wasn't allowed to eat candies. He wasn't allowed so many things. And because of his allergies, she was really strict about it. And that's what the limit looked like. But when she had her younger daughter didn't have any such challenges. She still, because, typically we have the same limits for both children, she had the same limits carried on for the younger daughter. But she didn't have that kind of anxiety around her daughter, around her picking up a chocolate or a candy here and there. daughter sensed that and pushed against those limits and pushed and pushed and pushed. And mom came into a listening partnership saying, why doesn't she cooperate? Why doesn't she listen? As she worked on her feelings, and this was her very first time with Hand in Hand, as she worked on her feelings, she revisited those limits. She wondered, do the limits still need to look that strict with my younger one? Do they need to look exactly the same way with her as they did for the older one? Why do I have these limits? Do I really believe in these limits? As she explored these questions for herself in a safe place where she wasn't given any advice, she wasn't told, it's not a good idea, or yes, that's a good idea. She was just told, that's good thinking. What do you feel, and where is this taking you, and how would you like it to look for her, and where does this come for you? Where does this come from? As she kept releasing and working on her, just had a safe place to work through her thoughts, she changed her limits. She realized that she didn't want to be so strict anymore, that her younger daughter did need those limits. And you know what? She loved having a lollipop too, so why can't her little daughter have a lollipop sticking out of her mouth? She looks so cute at that time. So many times it's also about navigating what limits look like, because when you come from a very different cultural background, um, the limits that held true for you when your parents parented you or where you lived earlier look very differently from the limits you believe in today, that the limits you want to bring into your family. So the listening partnership tool really helps us be purposeful parents, decide, pick and choose between so many cultures, and we have the freedom to choose between so many cultures, which limit it is that is important for me for that child at that point of time. And maybe tomorrow that limit looks different, and it's okay. So, working in the listening partnership, being a part of a community that understands and accepts you is so important.
And that's one of the things that I really love about the Parent Club is that community that we have on Facebook is accepting of any culture, of anything that goes on. From being a parent extremely frustrated with, a child and losing it to a success we celebrate, or we are there all because of whatever that parent needs. So I think that the Parent Clubs has such huge benefits because of that. And Facebook Lives like this, and with Patty, along with special resources and all of the best information we have to offer, comes with the Parent Club. So I have a couple more questions for you. So this one is about tantrums. So it says, I wonder if the benefits of taking my children's tantrums outweigh the benefits of giving them what they want, whether it be bedtime or choices they are given by their father. I've had him admit to taking away everything other than his entertainment devices to try and manage their behavior. What do you think?
So, could you repeat that? Because
Sure. So basically what it's saying is there a benefit of me just allowing my child to do a tantrum? Is that outweighed by just giving them what they want? Whether it's letting them stay up longer, giving them candy, and later she found out that their father had admitted to taking everything away from them other than their entertainment devices to try to manage their behavior. So what do you think would be the best course of action?
of course. So we're looking at, should I use rewards? Should I use punishment? Or should I use stay listening? Right? Those are my options right there. First of all, if when I'm trying to set that limit and I'm really exhausted. So, for example, we were in Florence on a holiday and we sat down at this really nice, fancy restaurant for dinner. And we had our children with us. I had no babysitter at that time. And they just didn't want to cooperate. And
Well, hello, everyone. It looks as though Megha popped off and we lost her there. Well, I just want to thank everyone that for coming tonight and doing the Facebook Live. Oh, she's right there. Let's bring her back. They caught me right in the middle of drinking while I was hiding behind you talking. So you were talking about the electronic devices and giving them the electronic devices and picking and choosing the times to use them.
Yes. So as I was saying, when my cup is empty, when I am not in a position to set a limit, and if I need to be inconsistent in give them an electronic device just at that point of time, it's okay. Not because it's okay for me to give electronic devices, because at that point of time, I'm choosing to put myself first. I'm choosing to take care of myself and my needs so that I can take care of my children better later. So we're not insisting on consistency with our children. If you need that time off, take that time off. No problems. But when you take that time off, use that time to work through the limits which look more reasonable for you, for your family, and work on your own feelings and space so that you can bring those limits in for your family. If bedtime is going to be a struggle every night, every day, I need to start getting into a listening partnership, maybe 1 hour before bedtime. Do special time or play listening before bedtime. Have a pillow fight in bed before bed. One fun thing I used to do with my children is wrestle on the bed. So we just all start wrestling in bed half an hour before they needed to eat and possibly an hour before dinner. So that meant take dinner in even earlier. But look, where are the pain points? Start observing them. And as we start observing and looking for those pain points, and we get a safe place to work on why those are pain points. Is that a really difficult moment for me? I mean, bedtime, I'm just really tired. And my husband and I worked on limits around bedtime by setting it up, saying, you know what, there are going to be no devices at bedtime. You're going to give me half an hour of time to myself before bedtime. So you're going to play and play and play. And he's so good at playing with them. And then I'm going to come in and join you all during bedtime. When he's traveling, I give myself a couple of hours before bedtime to just fill my cup up. Sometimes I even pour myself a glass of wine to get through bedtime. I do what I need to take care of myself by recognizing that I am the person in charge of this ship. And if I'm in charge of this ship, it's my choice. If I'm giving in to tantrums, if I'm giving in to devices, it's because I've decided to. And maybe it's because at this point I need to. Maybe I'm okay. There's another parent who came to me who said, you know what, I'm really okay with them watching half an hour of television before they go to bed, and I don't want to change that. And I said, that's fine then. If you're comfortable with it, we'll work with that. Maybe that's your limit, and your limit is around letting that half an hour go. So we're really asking you to take to your listening partnership a limit that you want to make, and we're giving you a safe place to figure what that limit looks like for you.
Megha,
I hope I answered.
Yeah, I think you did. Thank you so much for doing this with us today. I know it was a very, very early morning for you in India, so I can't thank you enough, and thank you to your family for sharing you this early in the morning. I just want to say that today we have given you a preview of the personal support that you will receive with the Q&A with Megha today, an instructor from Hand in Hand Parenting. This is part of the Hand in Hand Parenting Club membership, and that gives you the absolute best information that we have to offer delivered to your inbox every week, with the added support of weekly Facebook calls like this, a supportive parenting community, and free access to our Setting Limits and Building Cooperation course, and the question and answer session with Patty Wiffler. The other thing that I've been forgetting to add was that we also are giving a 25% discount on all starter classes and our online self-guided classes. So I'm really excited about that. We're hoping that you can come and join us. Our parent club is $15 a month. That's 3 Starbucks coffees here in the U.S. Totally worth the support that you get just from the Facebook group. Megha, thank you so much again for being a part of the Hand in Hand family and all of the long work that you've done with all of the families there in Mumbai, and also for doing this Facebook Live. I would love to end today with, in the spirit of Hand in Hand, something that went well this weekend or yesterday or today for you. I would love to hear something that went well.
Yeah. So I actually have the week off without children.
Oh my goodness.
Away to their grandparents' house, and yesterday at night I was all alone in the house, and that just felt so good.
That's so fantastic. I'm so glad that you are off this week. I hope you have lots of fun and do lots of self-care for yourself. Megha, thank you so much. And everyone out there, thank you for being with us over the course of the last week. We hope you take the time over the course of the next the next 4 days and join the Parent Club. We have some great things in store, some great surprises. $15 a month. Please go and join it. It's at handinhandmembers.org. Thank you so much. Bye, Megha.